All of you put off your microphones now. Okay, so I can start the class, I think. Dilipjit, put off your microphone now, huh? All of you, keep the microphone.
Okay,
thank you.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So, good morning to all of you. Dipojyoti, Dilipjit, Jasmita, Shupriya, Chaitanya, and one whose name is not displayed, and hopefully he will make it, convenient so that we can see his or her name.
Good morning.
Next, good morning. Shantika, Rumita, and Shivoprachad is also joining. So we can start the class and let the others come and join one by one, huh? William and Shamarpita are also here. Well, today, as I have given the info, our topic is romantic prose literature with a focus on the novelists. Besides the novel, there are other genres of writings, but the amount of writing in those fields will be limited. So we are going to focus mainly on this one, novels of romantic literature. So all of you keep in your mind the things that I spoke about, the general features of romantic period while we discussed romantic poetry. So in case of romantic prose, some of the features that I mentioned earlier would be applicable, but at the same time, there will be new things which we are going to know very soon. So right now, I would like to share the screen with you people. And I think that would help you a little bit more when I speak, right? So I'm sharing screen. And I'll be sharing the materials in the form of slides once again. Look at the topic, you people, and let me admit others who are waiting. Well, here is the topic: prose literature of romantic period, that is 19th century. And this is, CC4 and Unit 1. Still, we are going with that. So let's come to the things that we are going to do today. Okay. First, what are the types or categories of prose literature that we find in romantic period? The first and foremost leading one is novel. And the second category, we can, under one umbrella, call it discursive prose. And under the umbrella, we have essay writing, then literary theory and criticism. Some of them are already familiar to us. Then science and philosophy and others, miscellaneous. So amongst these, we are going to focus in today's discussion on novel first. Okay. In case of novels, I have gone directly to the sentimental novels, but I would like to tell you, those who have read 18th century history, perhaps you remember the beginning of novels with Sterne and Fielding. So the tradition of sentimental novels actually came from the earlier period or earlier era. And from there, we have, some changes, shifts, which we can observe in case of romantic period. And going with the tradition of sentimental tradition of the earlier period, we find here three writers. One is Henry Brooke, then Henry Mackenzie, and Charles Lamb. I'm telling you, you can see, all of you can take screenshots. These, years, usually of composition, sometimes of publication, need not to be mentioned when you, write your answer in the answer book. The reason is it's not possible to remember so many years in the calendar. Okay, so it's better you remember the author, the important work, and you relate them with this tradition, sentimental tradition. Then, so with time in the Romantic period, since this was the thing that came from the earlier tradition, it was not that much liked anymore by the audience as well as by the think tank of Romantic period. So this tradition came to be mocked, criticized, gradually towards the end of the later 18th, means coming of the Romantic period. So in the Romantic period, so this you can say is an unpopular type of novel in the Romantic period, but it exists. That is true. Then we have the next one. Okay, the tradition of comic realism, which with time will become very sorry, in the slide is now here. Very popular, particularly with Jane Austen. We will see later. So this comic realism also came from the earlier, period, that is Fielding and Smollett, but it, gained some popularity in the Romantic period. And the important writers of the Romantic period are John Moore and Fanny Burney. This one is very important, Fanny Burney, because if you separately write about the women novelists, you have to make mention of these two. You can see the important works I have charted here. Once again, years are not important. I'm telling you. You just relate these writers more or less wrote with this tradition of comic realism in novel. Comic refers to comedy, realism, giving narrating stories almost reflecting life as it is, right? So that is one tradition. So starting from sentimental, then coming to comic realism, then the most popular one and very distinguished. A question can be framed alone on this one: the Gothic novel. This goes with the spirit of romanticism, as we discussed. A love for the far past. In case of Coleridge, if you remember. So here we'll find this very type of novel called Gothic novel. The very word has a reference to the European, particularly German tradition of storytelling, where setup is there, relating it to the medieval age. There will be a castle, if you remember Chrisabel, the poem. So there will be a castle, supernatural elements, and human being, particularly at the center there will be a lady, carried far away from the habitation, common human habitation, and placed in the midst of such mysterious, thrilling atmosphere. That is Gothic. It relates to structure. Gothic structures are buildings, castles. So in that way, the setup gives the name of this genre. And let's come to who are the writers who actually popularized this one. One is Walpole, right? So Horace Walpole, though his works, you can say, periodically belong to the period earlier, just earlier than the Romantic period, but you can easily include him in the discussion. And following his tradition of Gothic novel, we find Anne Radcliffe, one of the significant women novelists also. That we have, of course, in the next slide we will see our own Frankenstein is also there. So here we have Anne Radcliffe. Walpole is the trendsetter, you can say, of Gothic novel. Then we have Anne Radcliffe, and these are the novels. I'm not mentioning all of them to save time. You can see, take screenshots so that you can save them. Okay, and next we have here, in the same tradition, Matthew Lewis. Okay, and we have here Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. You can see that is the classic example of the Gothic tradition and science fiction combined. Okay, So we have also other examples, the private memoirs and confessions of a justified sinner, that is by James Hogg. Not that much important, but when you discuss Gothic novels, you are to include them, starting from Horace Walpole, okay, then Anne Radcliffe, then Matthew and then Mary Shelley, ending with James Hoggs. You will find, others, but these are the writers, you can say, who made this particular genre of Gothic novels popular and widely discussed also, because besides the thrill, the mystery, the horror, they also give us some idea, uh, you can say, the criticism of the political setup. By taking away people from the civilized world, it's very easy to criticize it. So in that way they also functioned as criticism of the established setup. That is also one of the romantic features. Okay, so we have then the other type of novels which were written in the romantic period, the realistic novels. We talked about the comic realism, but this one is realistic novels. Actually, with time, this tradition uh, would rather lead the scenario in the Victorian period also. So these are the writers. I'm not going to read all of them. You have a look at them. I'm going to keep the slide for few seconds so that you can go through it. Okay. Have a look and read. Okay, someone can put on the mic and tell me, should I move? Jasmita?
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Then I can move to the next one. Before I move, thank you. Before I move, I would like to say this, mode of realistic novels. It looks good. Novel tells a story. It gives the, real effect. No, novel can, give fantastic ideas also. Like we talked about, like this one, which is Gothic novels. They are not realistic, but realistic novels are likely to focus on the things that usually happen in our everyday life. Okay, and the characterization, the setup, you can locate the things around you. That is the essence of realistic novels. And these novels to some extent also can support or criticize the ideas which are current in the society, which are established in the society. They can be also discussing those ideas and issues. Okay, so with that we end the genres, starting with the sentimental, then comic realism, then Gothic, then realistic. But if we are to discuss the women novelists, okay, we have already discussed two, actually important two. One is Anne Radcliffe and Mary Shelley, both belonging to the Gothic tradition. Besides that, we have other novelists, women novelists, who contributed. You can see the names here, who contributed, to the realistic and idealistic mode of novel writing in the Romantic period. Look at the names: Mary Wollstonecraft, very very important, because in future those who will pursue higher studies, masters, they are going to find text by her, reference of her in feminist writings. Okay, so these are the novels. Then Elizabeth Inchbald, her work, Years Are Not Important, I am repeating. Mary Hayes, Memoirs of Emma Courtney. Mary Branson, another one. You just remember the names and the books. Okay, these are women novelists. And you must include, if you are to discuss women novelists separately, Anne Radcliffe and Mary Shelley, as I have discussed earlier. Okay. And next, comes the classic one, Jane Austen, যাকে তোমরা পড়ছো already না, Pride and Prejudice. So this one, you can say she stands apart. I always keep stress on the information. By the way, I don't have power in my room. If something gets disconnected, you just stay there. Right now I don't have power. Well, Jane Austen, you can see she doesn't match with the traditions, with the types, with the genres that I have mentioned so far. You cannot connect her with any one tradition. Actually, she combines so many, and perhaps she amalgamated them to bring a new one for her, a new style. And this one definitely rooted in realism. She is realistic, you can say, but in her realism there is no promotion of great ideas, no radical rebellious ideas as it is expected in case of romantic writers. You can see she is very much down to earth, writing about the people, only the class which she knew. When you do Pride and Prejudice, you will discuss the topics like Pride and Prejudice as a domestic novel and blah blah. So you will come to understand the points. She dealt with the points, with the things, with the people, only those with which she was acquainted with. So that is very very important. And second one, there was comic touch in her writing, but in the form of wit and irony. Irony is one where you say something, but actually you are criticizing something else, you are referring to something else. So that is irony. Like for example, you can say the famous the starting line of the novel Pride and Prejudice. The writer is giving us information that all the mothers or parents of marriageable daughters think if a bachelor we have much wealth is always in need of a good one. Actually that is the intention of the mother, ki I should marry my daughter to a wealthy person, bachelor. So that is her intention, imposed universally on others. So that is irony, and that is the very style that she uses in her novels. Look at the six classics that he composed. Few of them were published posthumously, that is after her death. But look at them, all of them are classics, more or less throughout the different degree and master courses of English across the world. These are now, even now, taught as part of syllabus. Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Nadanga A.V., Mansfield Pope, Emma, and Persuasion. Okay, they have their original names also. Pride and Prejudice, you remember, First Impressions, Sense and Sensibility, Eleanor and Marianne. So these are the novels by Jane Austen. I have also discussed the features, special features, which are actually listed here. Look at them. Specialities of Austen's novels. I have already discussed, so let me take few seconds rest and you look at the slide. Okay. So she talks about the virtues in common sense. She avoids new romantic values of exuberant imagination, egotism, and extreme subjectivity, like Shelley or others. But she has use of comic brilliance, and to some extent she reflects Fielding from the 18th century. And these are the features I talked about: domestic setup, matchmaking. Marriage is her favorite theme, and use of wit and irony. Done. Arundhati, put on your mic.
Yes, ma'am.
And dekhecho eta?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. In case of any doubt, you mark it. I mean, যখন lecture শেষ করব, you can communicate, huh? Okay. And the last, okay, thank you. And the last, great one. You can say the romantic ideals, get, if we leave the poets, they are the masters definitely. If, someone who can represent romantic ideals as a novelist, definitely that is Walter Scott. Look at the information. Sir Walter Scott is the English writer who can, in the fullest sense, be called a romantic novelist. He started as a poet. I think some of you may be acquainted with his poetry. Amader chilo in syllabus, 10th classes chilo amader. Then Scott switched to prose fiction in 1814. Waverley novel. These are, Waverley is, particularly referring to a region in Scotland. And with time, a family. With time, these, became, recurring feature of these earlier novels. So these are the works: Guy Mannering, The Antiquary, Old Mortality, and The Heart of Midlothian. This one is, part of syllabus of so many courses. This one, The Heart of Midlothian. Okay. And some more information. He started with describing having a setting of Scotland first, since he belonged to that part, and gradually he shifted to the setup of England, writing stories. Ivanhoe, some think that this one is his masterpiece, but I like Heart of Midlothian. I did not actually go through by text Ivanhoe. I went through Heart of Midlothian. And directly, dealing with other European settings, Quentin Durward. He is a prolific novelist. He wrote so many. But these are the ones that I have mentioned here. You can say the conspicuous ones or the famous ones. Here I have charted a few, salient features of the novels of Walter Scott. Comic, social observation, romantic sense of landscape, and an epic grandeur, enlarging the scope of the novel in ways that equip it to become the dominant literary form of the later 19th century, that is Victorian period. Okay. Giving almost equal importance to the individual, to the characters who are depicted, and the setup. That is very, very important. Giving equal importance to both. Okay. Done. And with that, I end the discussion on romantic novels, the novel writers of romantic period. Well, but besides that, I mentioned I have, some other types or genres of literature, which I think you need to know when you discuss the prose literature of romantic period in general. Would someone do me the favor of taking a snap of the participants? Will you please?
Done, ma'am.
Thank you. So for this, I need to go to this one, that is the discursive prose literature. I don't have a slide right now, but I would like to just give you the idea. Okay, just give you the idea of discursive literature of this period, and I'm going to send you one document via WhatsApp so that you can go through it. Actually, I was talking about the strength of prose, gaining the dominance actually towards the end of the Romantic period. Poetry still is the leading genre. You can see the poets are almost uncontestable and undisputable representatives of Romantic literature. But prose was gaining the upper hand day by day, particularly in the form of novel that I have discussed. But side by side, other genres of prose like essay writing, we know with Bacon it started, but reaching the Romantic period, it has become almost as popular as poetry because of the magazines, literary magazines that in which actually they got published. So we have Charles Lamb, we have Hazlitt, we have De Quincey in this period. Besides the essays, I'm just discussing in brief. Besides the essays, we have the poets who wrote in prose about their creative process. Just give me 1 second. 1 second. Well, I'm here back. So besides the essays, we have the poets who talked about their creative process in their prose writing. We have the preface to lyrical ballads. We have Biographia Literaria, and other discursive. Their lectures were also published in magazines and in different newspapers. So they build up a huge bulk of prose literature, discursive, that is not fictional, that is rooted in issues, ideas, and sometimes debates, also political and idealistic debates. They, build up a bulk of literature of Romantic period. And there will be science, definitely. And if you look at Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, it can be forerunner of science fiction, a quite different genre. It's fiction, but that combines science, future science, you can say. So in that way, the different types of non-fictional prose writing of Romantic period are also important. And when you discuss prose literature in general, you are going to include all of them. Okay. So with that, we end the discussion. Now it's your time to say if you have any doubt. And the person who has the doubt can raise the hand or just unmute the microphone and can talk. We have near about 8 minutes in our hand. Okay. Done? Malu.
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Which one? Which one?
Ma'am, can you repeat Gothic novels? I understand.
Okay, Gothic novel. In brief, I'm just telling you in brief. Gothic novel is written in the tradition of, you can say, mystery, horror, and supernaturalism, right? Usually, if you talk about the features, there will be a backdrop far away from the human habitation in a castle which is old, where supernatural figures, powers are there, and the human being, one or two characters, will be shifted in that castle, and they will experience the horror and terror in different ways. That is usually the you can say the features of Gothic novels. And it started in England with Horace Walpole and then Redcliffe. I talked about these are the figures, and also Mary Shelley. Okay, these are the important writers of Gothic novels. And Gothic refers to the actually structure of the huge buildings, robust, huge buildings of German. ঠিক আছে জার্মানের কথা বলছি আমি তো it came the name got its essence from the huge structures of the buildings used as backdrop in the novels. Okay, but it associates with terror, horror, and supernaturalism. Done?
Okay, ma'am. Done.
Okay. Any other?
No, ma'am.
Fine, Arundhati is fine then. Anyone?
No, ma'am.
And did you have much problem with audio today?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Fine, actually, then we can work with it. Thank you, Dipajyoti. Actually, I ran a trial with him day before yesterday. So that way I was able to set up the new setup. So I think from now on there will be less disturbance. And you have learned, I thank you all, particularly the second sem ones, you have learned how to use it. Okay, thank you. Any problem with anyone?
No, ma'am.
Snigdha or Shamarpita, bolo. Any problem?
Thank you, ma'am.
Fine.
No,
So we can end the class then,
No,
I
ma'am.
think. If you don't have anything, Dipajyoti,
No, ma'am.
it's clear the points that I discussed.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I'll be giving you all very small that is collected from internet document on discursive literature, prose literature of romantic period. You prepare on your own. Okay, the way I have done here. Niranjoy. Niranjoy. Yes.
Ma'am.
Did you get the things that I discussed today?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Network is a little bit slow in your area, na?
Yes, ma'am.
I can get that.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Chaitanya, I can see Chaitanya also. Chaitanya,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
was it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am. I got it.
Fine, thank you. Okay, then for today, I think I should end here and see you in my next class. And in between, there will be a quiz competition via WhatsApp. I will inform you on the theme, I mean the topics that you have to cover and the way how to conduct it via WhatsApp. Okay. Before my second class. Thank you. So I'm going to end the class. You all leave one by one. First you leave, then I'm going to end the class. Leave one
Thank
by
you,
one.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yes, Apurupa, Chaitanya, Megha, and Shubhi, please leave one by one. Chaitanya, leave. You have the leave option. Megha also. Chaitanya, can't you leave? I mean, don't you find the option? Fine. So with that, I end here.